Okay. So the first classification, more or less accepted and widely recognized classification, was classification of living organisms into two groups, two kingdoms. What are those two kingdoms?
Plant kingdom and
Animal kingdom.
Living organisms, living organisms were initially classified into two kingdoms.
Plant kingdom.
plants
Plant kingdom
and animal kingdom.
and animal kingdom. But with this classification, there was a big problem. There were organisms which showed both the characteristics or none of the characteristics. What do you call a plant? What do you call an animal? What is a plant? What is generally understood as plant? Plants are green in color, right? Plants can make their own food, right? Plants do not move generally. That's the common understanding of what we call as plant, right?
Yes.
And similarly, what is our general understanding of an animal?
Who can move?
They can move. They cannot make their own food.
It depends on other.
And similarly, they eat. You can see them eating, right?
Yes. Reproduce.
They can reproduce by sexual means and so on, right? So this is general understanding of
Plant kingdom
plant
and
kingdom and animal kingdom. But there are a lot of organisms which showed both the characteristics or none of these characteristics. What to do with those organisms? That was the trouble. Alright? For example, we have Euglena. This is a very strange organism. It shows both the properties of plant and animal. So, plant and animal. Please don't make noise, okay? Because there is an audio which is being recorded, so don't make noise. So, let's have a look. Why can we say that it seems to be like an animal? Because it has flagella. The flagellum. You can see flagellum? Yes. With the help of this flagellum, it can move from one place to another. Alright? Movement.
This is microorganism.
This is a very small, unicellular organism. Flagellum. And the other property is that it can actually ingest smaller organisms. It can eat smaller organisms. It can digest smaller organisms. Okay? Ingestion. Like animals, we ingest food, right? We ingest food. We can put food in our mouth and eat like this.
Yeah.
Similarly, Euglena also can do that. It can eat other organisms. Plants generally, we have an understanding that plants do not do that, right? So it shows what?
the property of animal.
Properties of animal. Similarly, it shows also some properties of plants. It has chlorophyll.
Chloroplasts.
It has chloroplasts. That means it can photosynthesize. It can make its own food. Presence of chloroplast. Chloroplast or chlorophyll. So it is an autotroph. What is it? Autotrophs are those organisms which can make their own food. Those organisms which can make their own food. That means there is presence of chlorophyll, right?
Chlorophyll.
Those who cannot make their own food,
Heterotroph.
they are heterotroph. So it is also heterotroph. Because it can ingest other organisms. It doesn't have to make food by itself. Alright?
Stored carbohydrate.
And then, what else?
Stored carbohydrate.
It has chloroplast.
Stored carbohydrate.
Carbohydrate.
No, it has definitely stored carbohydrate, it has endoplasmic reticulum, it has Golgi apparatus, contractile vacuole, photoreceptors, like we have also photoreceptors right, in our eyes. Similarly, it also has photoreceptors, right? So that's the reason why Euglena shows both the properties of
Plant and animal.
whenever it cannot find food from outside, it can make its own food. Unicellular, and on the other hand, it is unicellular, small, right?
कुन kingdom-मा राख्ने?
So that's the problem. Where should we put it? And that's why this classification was not the best classification. And that's the reason why now in the modern times we have 5 kingdom classification. Alright?
Yes.
So this 5 kingdom classification will be the next objective. So this is 2 kingdom classification. So which has a lot of demerits, right? Demerits. So therefore we rely more and more into what? 5 kingdom classification.